Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Cosmic Castaway podcast. I'm your host, Steve Getzik. In this episode, we'll be going over the black cloud phenomenon. There have been many cases over the decades involving a mysterious appearance of a black cloud in an otherwise cloudless sky and during the day. And they seem to happen during the day. These clouds seem to interact with the observers in some direct and sometimes unexplainable and terrifying ways. These types of cases are among my favorite because of their exceptionally bizarre nature. Because they sound like something out of a Stephen King novel, except this isn't a work of fiction we're talking about here. It's real people and who's with real lives and real experiences and real locations. I'm going to go over two specific cases. Of all the cases I've read that involve this black cloud phenomenon, these two are my personal favorite. And after I go through each one, I think you'll understand right away why that's the case. One case is from MUFON, and one is an excerpt from George Knapp's documentary covering the infamous Skinwalker Ranch. I'm going to share the details of both cases with you first, and then I'm going to discuss my thoughts on the matter afterwards. We're going to start with the MUFON case, which begins on September 2008 on a warm, sunny day on a beach in Florida. This is what happened. On September 28th, 2008, a 57-year-old retired U.S. Marine named Jim and his newlywed Linda had just gotten married and were staying at the same condo in Perdido Key, Florida, where they vacation every year. Perdido Key is a barrier island about 16 miles long, no more than a few hundred yards wide in most places, and about 16 miles southwest of Pensacola. Jim and Linda were walking on the beach a few hours after their wedding. There were several other people in the nearby area, but none in close proximity to Jim and Linda. Linda was on Jim's left and closest to the water. The couple were just playing around when Jim, facing Linda on his left, noticed a strange, large, black cloud over the Gulf of Mexico. Jim thought it was strange because it was a beautiful day and the entire sky was blue with white puffy clouds, and so the black cloud seemed really out of place. Jim just kept staring at it because it was so black, a different shade of black he had never seen before. Suddenly, the black cloud started to move in their direction. It sped up, stopped, and silently hovered between 125 and 150 feet above and in front of them. Jim then saw a flash of light that lit up the cloud for about 10 seconds. What he saw next changed his life forever. Suddenly, he could see a dull gray craft with many windows, and from one of those windows, he could see a being inside looking down at them. Jim could see the being clearly from the shoulders up because the craft was illuminated with white light inside. Jim described the being as not huge, about the size of a 14 or 15-year-old, kind of skinny and dark, but not black. He was unable to see the details of the face. When asked about the shape of the craft, Jim said he thought it looked round, but was more focused on the being inside that was looking at him. After about 10 seconds, the cloud turned black again, and Jim became very scared and said to Linda, "Let's get out of here." So they ran back to their condo. As they ran away from the cloud, Jim kept looking over his shoulder to see if the cloud was following them, but it wasn't. By the time they got back to their condo, the black cloud had moved back out over the Gulf of Mexico and eventually disappeared. Now, put yourself in Jim's shoes. You just got married literally hours ago. You're walking on a beautiful beach with a person you love, on a perfect sunny day. You're looking forward to starting this journey through life together and imagining all the experiences you're going to have. And this is the first one you have. Some mysterious, menacing being staring down at you in your new life. From some dark ship hidden within a dark black cloud that seemed to move independent of the wind and parked itself 125 feet above your head. Imagine what was going through his mind. This guy's he's a United States Marine. He's a trained observer. He certainly knows the difference between a bird or a helicopter and a black cloud. He's trained to recognize military aircraft. And if that's what this had been, he certainly would have noticed. But this was something else, something completely different. It was not only unknown to him, it was beyond his understanding. Nothing about it made any sense, nor did it conform to his understanding of reality. I mean, who was this being watching him? Who was that? Was it the pilot? And why did it decide to move that close to Jim and reveal itself in such a dramatic way, in such a grandiose display? What was the purpose of that? Where did this being come from? And where did it go after Jim and his wife ran off? Just imagine trying to enjoy your honeymoon. You just got married, you walk on the beach, this happens. Now imagine trying to enjoy the rest of your honeymoon after this just happened. Imagine trying to enjoy another day at the beach for that matter, wondering if this thing will come back or if it's following you around. I hope for Jim's sake, he never crosses paths with this thing ever again. But unfortunately, Jim isn't the only one who's had a run in with black cloud phenomena.
We don't know what it is. That was one theory, that it certainly sounds like it's a portal as we understand it, but really that stuff is over my head. Those guys don't know. They're just, throwing out one idea and telling you what they actually saw. They had some really harrowing encounters on the property themselves. There was, those two guys were walking again in the middle homestead at night. They have a couple of dogs with them. And the dogs suddenly go behind their legs. They're hiding. They're scared of something. And up at the top of the trees, they see this dark cloud that's floating. It's floating across the trees, getting bigger and bigger, and it stops right in front of them, and they freeze. And this thing, Eric Davis, who's a PhD physicist, brilliant man, who's worked for top secret labs and things, he's frozen. And suddenly another voice comes out of him. It's not his, it's them. We're watching you. He's saying this, we're watching you. Colum is looking at him, what? And it's not him, it's somebody else speaking through him in a different voice. He snaps out of it after a couple of minutes. The cloud goes away. Eric was messed up for a couple of days, having terrible dreams, couldn't sleep, but it was a real thing.
Imagine being in their shoes. These two guys are world class, brilliant physicists and scientists who have been involved in all kinds of classified programs. And to suddenly be confronted with something that is far beyond them and defies all their training and all their understanding of how the natural world works, and certainly challenges all of their closely held beliefs. To suddenly witness your friend become possessed by A seemingly evil black cloud hovering right in front of you and not being able to do anything about it. And then to hear this evil voice coming out of your friend's mouth telling you it's watching you. What? I mean, who was watching them? And why? And why did it choose to appear in the form of a cloud? Out of all the forms it could have been, why a black cloud? And why did it choose Davies instead of Calm to use as a medium? Was there something different about Davies that made him a better choice? Were humans somehow involved or behind this? Or was it someone else or something else? Imagine how disturbing it would have to be to witness something like this. How it would change your perspective on everything. How do you think you would handle it? How do you think you would have react if you were in Calm's shoes? What do you think you would have done? Would you just brush it off and move on with your life like it never happened? Or would it stay with you and haunt you for the rest of your life? Personally, speaking for myself, I know at the very least I would never be the same man again, ever. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'd like to thank you for your time and attention. But before you go, please remember to like and subscribe my channel, and please tell your friends and family who have any interest in the subject matter about this channel. You can also follow me on X, and you can also visit my new website, teacup.press, where you can find my own personal investigative videos of UFOs taken with my own personal equipment, as well as a link to the animal shelter I work for. If you care to donate, we appreciate any help you can give. Until next time, good night.